The whole cafeteria went silent. A group of students had just dumped a shy girl's old, torn school bag onto the floor, laughing as her pencils, crumpled books, and half-eaten sandwich rolled across the tiles. "Let's see what the charity case hides in there," one of them mocked. But then, everyone froze. Because among the scraps and notebooks, was a neatly folded military uniform, glistening with medals, stars, and a name tag that read, General Raymond Clark. And the girl whispered, through tears, "That was my father's." What happened next left the entire school in tears. Broken Heart, watch till the end, because this story will touch your heart. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Goodness Corner, and hit the bell icon for more true stories that remind us, goodness still exists. Red Heart. The school bell had just rung for lunch, and the cafeteria buzzed with laughter, gossip, and the usual noise of hundreds of students. But in one quiet corner, a girl sat alone, head bowed, tray untouched. Her name was Emily Clark. She was new to the school, shy, quiet, and always wearing the same old jacket no matter the weather. Her backpack looked worn out, its seams coming apart, its straps patched with tape. For weeks, everyone had noticed her but no one had spoken to her. In a school where appearance meant everything, Emily was invisible, until that day. It started with a cruel whisper. "Hey, do you know she eats leftovers from the trash?" Someone laughed. "She probably steals them too." Rumors grew fast, like wildfire. And by lunchtime, a small group of popular students had decided to make her their entertainment. At the center of it was Brittany, the class queen bee, rich, confident, and cruel when bored. "Let's see what she hides in that bag," she sneered, pointing at Emily. The others giggled. Emily's hands tightened on her backpack straps. She whispered, "Please, don't." But Brittany snatched the bag and held it up like a trophy. "Well, what's inside, charity girl? Old socks? Rotten food?" The group cheered. One boy unzipped it, and before Emily could stop him, her belongings tumbled across the floor. Pencils. A crushed sandwich. A small notebook with doodles of stars. And an old photograph, a man in uniform, smiling with his arm around a little girl. The crowd burst into laughter. "A soldier? What's this, your imaginary dad?" Brittany mocked. Emily's lips trembled. "Give it back," she cried. But they didn't stop. One of the boys kicked the notebook. Another picked up a folded piece of cloth that had fallen out, olive green, with shiny buttons and patches. "What's this? A costume?" He shook it open. And then, the laughter stopped. Because it wasn't just a piece of cloth. It was a military uniform, pristine, perfectly folded, with medals pinned across the chest. Everyone leaned in. The name tag glimmered in the cafeteria light, General Raymond Clark. The air went still. Emily knelt on the floor, her hands trembling as she carefully picked up the uniform. "That's my father's," she whispered. No one spoke. Even Brittany's smirk faded. "Wait, your father was a general?" someone asked softly. Emily nodded, tears filling her eyes. "He was. He died last year, in Afghanistan." Her voice cracked. "He said his uniform would remind me to stay brave. So I keep it with me, because it makes me feel like he's still here." The silence grew heavy. Brittany's hand slowly fell to her side, guilt flickering in her eyes. The crowd looked down, ashamed. Emily gently refolded the uniform and placed it back in her bag. Her tears splashed against the medals, and her voice trembled. "You all thought I was trash, but my father was a hero. And I miss him every single day." The cafeteria felt like a church. Not a whisper, not a sound, just the echo of Emily's words. The school principal, who had walked in midway, stood frozen. He cleared his throat. "Everyone, back to your seats. His tone was stern, but his eyes were glassy. Emily rose slowly, clutching her bag close. She turned toward the exit, her steps small but firm. Brittany tried to speak. "Emily, I..." But Emily didn't look back. She didn't need to. That day, something changed. The story spread across the school like wildfire, but this time, not as gossip. As respect. Students who once ignored her now offered to sit beside her. Teachers spoke to her with gentle kindness. Even Brittany, who had led the cruel prank, waited by Emily's locker after school. "Hey," she said quietly. "I didn't know. I'm sorry." Emily looked at her, calm, distant. "You never asked." And she walked away. That night, Emily placed her father's uniform carefully on her bed. She touched the Medal of Honor pinned on the left side, the one her mother said he earned for saving his men during an ambush. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Dad. I didn't cry this time." A soft breeze moved through her open window, and she felt, for a moment, that maybe he was still there, proud, watching over her. The next morning, Emily arrived at school wearing her old jacket again. She didn't want to look special. But when she entered class, she noticed something strange. On her desk sat a small note. In neat handwriting, it read, "Heroes live in memories, but their courage lives through those who remember them." Emily smiled faintly. Maybe goodness wasn't gone from the world after all. From that day on, no one dared laugh at her again. In fact, Emily became someone others admired, not for her clothes, not for her past, but for her strength. She joined the debate club, the history club, and soon became the student who always spoke about values, respect, kindness, and courage. Her favorite speech began with the same line she had once whispered in pain. "You all thought I was trash, but my father was a hero." And every time she said it, the audience fell silent, just like that day in the cafeteria. Because sometimes, the smallest bag carries the biggest story. A week later, Emily decided to take her father's uniform out again, this time, not with tears, but with pride. As she unfolded it gently, a small envelope slipped out from one of the chest pockets. Her heart skipped. She had never seen it before. On the front, in faded ink, it read, "For Emily." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a short letter, written in her father's steady handwriting. "My brave girl. If you ever feel alone, remember, courage isn't about being strong in front of others. It's about being kind, even when others are not. Be proud of who you are, and carry this uniform not as a burden, but as a promise, to always stand for what's right." Tears rolled down Emily's cheeks. For the first time, she smiled while crying. At school, she read the letter aloud during assembly. No one mocked her anymore, they stood and clapped. Emily's father had become a hero once again, through her. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Goodness Corner, and share, because goodness still exists. Red Heart.